What's going on, guys? I'm back at it again to give my predictions on UFC 327. Yuri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg with Joshua Van versus Tetsuo Taira in the co-main event. Without further ado, I'm going to get a kick in with the early prelims, and then I'm going to work my way up to the main event. So the first fight of the night is Kelvin Gastelum versus Vicente Luque. Dog, I have to go with Kelvin Gastelum in this one because Vicente Luque just has not looked the same in his past couple of fights. Ever since the Jeff Neal knockout, where he had a brain bleed, I believe. Um, he's just not been the same fighter as he was before. I don't know if it's a physical thing or a mental thing, but he's been getting dominated in certain fights where I'm picking him to win. Before Buckley had this like resurgence that he's having right now at welterweight, I picked Vincente Luque to beat Joaquin Buckley because I thought surely Vincente would be able to pass that test, but as of late, I just haven't been able to trust him. Whether this fight will happen or not is kind of resting on not Kevin, excuse me, Kelvin Gastelum makes weight or not. If you know, you know. Kelvin Gastelum literally has a series called Missing Weight with Kelvin Gastelum. So, yeah, I think I have to go with Kelvin Gastelum. I think that Kelvin Gastelum has the ability to outgrit Vincente Luque, whereas Luque, whenever he's put in uncomfortable fights where he has to dig deep, he's just not been able to dig deep anymore. So, yeah, going with Kelvin Gastelum. Moving on. Tatiana Suarez versus Lupi Godinez. This one's pretty easy in my opinion. I'm going with Tatiana Suarez. I think that frankly, she just has far superior grappling to Lupi Godinez. They're both coming off of wins. Um, Tatiana Suarez just beat Amanda Lemos after getting beat for the first time by Zhang Wei Li. Um, do I think that Tatiana Suarez is going to be a champion, especially now that Zhang Wei Li is moving back down? Uh, I don't know. Only time will tell, but she definitely deserves to be in the top five. I think that she will beat Lupi Godinez. She's more physical. She has better grappling. Tatiana Suarez actually has a decent finishing rate as far as submissions. I believe half of her wins are submissions. So I think she should be able to get it done. I'm gonna pick Tatiana Suarez round three submission. Moving on up, we have Kevin Holland versus Randy Brown. Kevin Holland, your time has come, dude. Like, I am a Kevin Holland fan. At least I was a Kevin Holland fan for quite some time. However, he is not the same as he used to be. Uh, I remember whenever he moved down to welterweight and he was defending chokes from Cowboy Oliveira, and he was looking super sharp on the feet. He had a interesting build moving down to welterweight. He was not really a big middleweight to begin with, but he has like a long reach at welterweight. But Randy Brown also has a long reach, and I think that he's a better striker. I do not think that this fight is going to go to the ground. Uh, and I think that Randy Brown should be able to get a decision here. So yeah, I think that Randy Brown is going to be able to box him, uh, establish his jab, and sort of keep him at range for the fight. Kevin Holland likes to fight at the range that he's comfortable with as well, but he just has not been disciplined enough lately to execute that game plan, actually. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Randy Brown. Moving on up, this is an interesting one because Mateus Gamrot is not he's not a bum, but he's definitely started to move down the rankings recently. And on the other hand, we have Esteban Rivic, who is moving up. He's like on an upward trend. But the question is with this fight, whether Esteban is getting bumped up the rankings too soon, because clearly he has knockout power. Clearly he's very entertaining. The UFC obviously wants to give him a bump. I don't see why not. Uh, Whenever I think about Esteban Rivic, the number one thing that comes to mind is that knockout over Terrence McKinney with the head kick. However, Mateus Gamrot, he's called the gamer for a reason, you know? Like he definitely has a grappling edge on Esteban Ribovic. Mateus Gamrot a couple years ago, whenever he fought Armin Saryukian, was hanging with Armin in the grappling. He lost recently to Charles Oliveira. However, everyone underestimates Mateus Gamrot's ability to wet blanket somebody who cannot grapple. Um, I like striking. I like Muay Thai, so this one's tough. I'm gonna have to go with Esteban Rivic, I think, um, just because I want to ride with the striker. I don't think that Mateus Gamrot should be counted out yet, and I would not be surprised if whenever the odds were released that Mateus would be the favorite. On paper, it's a tough matchup for Esteban Rivic, but he's young. I feel like he's been able to steamroll a lot of the lower competition in the UFC, and he's definitely evolved some more since he uh, got to the UFC. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go with Esteban Rivic. Moving on up, Cub Swanson versus Nate Landwehr. This is a fight I am genuinely hyped to see. I'm a Nate Landwehr fan, dude. I quote Nate Landwehr all the time. The falling in love with fighting is like falling in love with a neighborhood hoe. She ain't never gonna love you back. Dude, also, San Antonio, take a look at this bicep. He's so fucking funny. Nate Landwehr is like extremely entertaining. On the other hand, we have Cub Swanson. He's like a true veteran. People forget, man, he has a win over Charles Oliveira. Like Cubs legit. I know that he wants to retire soon. This might honestly be his retirement fight. Let me know in the comments if this is his retirement fight. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's two unks and two scrappers. This is just going to be a fight generally that's going to be like super exciting to watch. So I'm hyped for this. Uh, Baldy Man Dana definitely cooked for this card. Just want to put that out there because I would have made a video about my predictions for Moicano versus Duncan, but to be honest with you, like that card is so mid. Like we're good, bro. We're good. I'm not making a video about that. Anyways, I digress. Cub Swanson versus Nate Landwehr. I'm gonna go with Nate Landwehr. I was just glazing him. I'm sorry, bro. Like I have to go with Nate. I think they're both solid strikers, solid scrappers, but what Nate has shown me time and time again that he won't break unless you put him out cold. Um, they've both been in a lot of wars, and I don't see it going any other way. Cub Swanson is solid. He is still very skilled at his age. Obviously, he's declined, like he's not the same fighter that he used to be, but he's still clearly talented featherweight. I don't think that his talent and technical ability has declined too much. I think that it's mostly just the wear and tear that's gotten to him. I think it's going to be a tough fight for both guys. I could see it going back and forth. Honestly, I see Cub Swanson winning the first round. Nate takes the second and continues to snowball into the third. I'm going to go with Nate Landwehr by decision. I think that's a pretty safe bet. And I would not be surprised if that was also the fight of the night. Moving on, we got Patricio Pitbull versus Aaron Pico. Some fucking Bellator shit, dude. It's cool to see in the UFC. I like it. Patricio Pitbull's ranked 13. I think they want to give Aaron Pico a ranking so that they can continue to market him. Uh, However, honestly, I do not know if Aaron Pico is going to make it super far in the UFC. Um, if you watch his Bellator career, he was getting knocked out by some like pretty questionable opponents on numerous occasions, as well as getting stopped just recently by Lerone Murphy, which I do not like. But he's still very young. It's just a question of his chin, you know. I know that he used to be a amateur boxer and a wrestler back in the day before he started his MMA career. So obviously he's well-rounded and skilled, but yeah, durability is an issue for him for sure. And then on the other side, we have Patricio Pitbull. Um, he is another Bellator fighter. However, he was at the top for quite some time. He had some sick fights in Bellator with Michael Chandler as well. I believe that he tried to become a triple champ or did become a triple champ. I'm pretty sure he lost though at bantamweight, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, a guy who's been at the top and is sort of on the decline, and then Aaron Pico is sort of caught in the middle here where he's clearly skilled but just got stopped in his debut. This might be a little risky, but I'm going to go with the vet. I'm going to go with Patricio Pitbull, actually. I really like his karate stance. I know for a fact that his gym in Brazil, they actually teach karate there, which is pretty cool. Um, I think that he'll be able to catch Aaron Pico coming in whenever Aaron Pico blitzes. He likes to stand too squared whenever he gets his opponents backed up against the cage, which allows him to get countered off the cage, um, like which we saw with Lerone Murphy. You can't just stand in someone's face with your arms out here swinging straight at him. I'm talking like I'm a professional fighter and like I know what I'm talking about. But I mean, if you know, you know, you can't stand squared. And Patricio Pitbull is like literally the opposite of that. He stands so bladed. I think that he'll be able to catch Aaron Pico on the way in and um, use his experience as a high level fighter to edge this one out. I think it's going to be a decision for Patricio Pitbull. This next fight, however, Asmat Mirzakhanov versus Paulo Costa. This is the Juice Head Olympics right here because Asmat Mirzakhanov, I don't know if you know, he fucking tested positive for like compound V, bro. Like he got busted for taking some crazy steroids. And Paulo Costa has never popped, but let's keep it a buck, dude. It's not just acai and egg whites that are making those muscles pop, dude. He truly is on the secret juice. Um, that being said, I'm picking Asmat Mirzakhanov to win by a round one knockout. I think that Paulo Costa will get stopped in the boxing exchanges with Asmat Mirzakhanov. However, I think that if it starts to get into the later rounds, Paulo has a better chance if he's able to weather the storm like he did with Yoel Romero. But I believe that Osmot's power is going to be crazy in the first round, and it's a new weight class for Paulo. That being said, I'm picking Osmot by round one knockout. I pray that Paulo wins, dude. I'm sick. I'm sick of seeing these people like blatantly juicing, blatantly cheating so bad, getting caught, coming back after they serve their time off, their suspension, and then continue to climb anyway, and we all just accept it. Paulo is allowed to juice because he's been grandfathered in. Azmat, talking about Azmat Mirzakhanov, I think about uh the legendary beef between Michael Chandler and Dustin Poirier, where he's like, dude, you ain't one of us, dude. You ain't one of us, dude. I think that Ozma, he's not allowed to juice, bro. Paul is allowed to juice. I will not explain further, bro. Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker, the battle of no chins. I'm going with Dominic Reyes. I believe in Dominic Reyes. Bro, I'm cheesing. I'm excited just to see Dominic Reyes get his get back after getting slumped by Carlos fucking Frodberg, bro. Fuck Carlos Alberg. I'll get into that later. Versus Johnny Walker. I think that both of them have solid like power and athleticism. They're actually quite similar uh, in their physical gifts. They're both like really tall, long strikers. But Johnny Walker, I don't think that he plants himself well enough to put out Dominic Reyes the way that Dominic Reyes has been put out before. Dominic Reyes always gets put out by fighters who are standing really, really planted. And Johnny Walker, if you watch Johnny Walker fight, does not really plant. He kind of bullshits around. I'm hating right now, but it's true. Like his footwork isn't great. He doesn't really plant and rip. He kind of tries to catch you with some random athletic nonsense, like a flying knee or like a weird sort of like Superman punch, something goofy. I think that Dominic Reyes is technically sound enough to rip a 1-2 and sleep Johnny Walker. I think that Johnny Walker, yeah, I'm gonna go with Dominic Reyes in round one. I'm picking another round one knockout for Dominic Reyes. Yeah, like I was saying, is Johnny Walker doesn't really plant the way that the guys who have knocked out Dominic Reyes have knocked him out. And I think it'll also, the way that he moves will also punish him whenever he tries to close the distance on Dominic Reyes. I think that he will kind of be able to recreate what he did to Nikita Krylov um, with just straight shots hard down the middle while your opponent is advancing towards you. I think that, yeah, Dominic Reyes, round one knockout. Let's get it, bro. I just want to see him win, man. Um, Moving on to the featured fight of the night, Curtis Blades versus Josh Hokett. Josh Hokett, I'm sorry, brother. You're getting bumped up too soon. I'm picking Curtis Blades. I'm picking Curtis Blades by a finish. Not sure if it'll be a submission or a knockout, but I'm predicting a late finish. I'm predicting a round three finish for Curtis Blades because Josh Hokett has great cardio and great athleticism. We've seen it in his fights thus far. However, he does not have the experience at the top, and also like Curtis Blades does. And also, Josh Hokett, I believe, is only like 230, 240 pounds. And Curtis Blades is a big boy for heavyweight. I know that if Curtis Blades is able to take down Josh Hokett, like he's done to other people before, he will be able to get a ground and pound TKO in round three or a submission in round three. Um, I think the physicality is going to be a problem for Josh Hokett because Josh Hokett's able to fuck up these other heavyweights who are kind of blobby, but Curtis Blades is not a blob, dude. Um, he's a top heavyweight contender for a reason. He's kind of slept on a little bit. Um, it is heavyweight though, so anyone can stop anyone, but um, I think it just might be too much too soon for Josh Hokett. I think that he will end up having a successful career regardless. I just think that uh, Curtis Blades is going to stop him from entering the rankings for the time being. Um, yeah, I'm going with Curtis Blades on this one. Now, dog, this is going to be a great fight. Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira is going to be an absolute movie. Taira has a physicality advantage, and he has an advantage in the grappling as well. Um, however, he lost to Brandon Royval. Joshua Van beat Brandon Royval. So they're kind of, I don't know, like the MMA math is not mathing. Um, if you want to pick Tetsuro Taira. That being said, MMA math is not always, the most accurate thing ever. Joshua Van has really good takedown defense. He actually fought Ray Saruya, who is a teammate of Tatsuro Taira. He was able to stuff the vast majority of those takedowns, and the ones that Ray Saruya was able to land, he was able to fight the hands, get to the cage, get up, peel the hands off, and start landing his boxing combinations again. Tatsuro Taira is like still lacking in the striking, but I think that he has improved even more in his grappling, which is honestly really impressive. We saw with his last win against Brennan Moreno that like once he gets the back of his opponents, it's kind of a wrap. And that's what we've seen whenever he first got into the UFC, but now he's able to do that again at the highest level. It's a scary matchup for Joshua Van. If he's if Joshua Van is able to make this into a dogfight, I think that he can break Tetsuro Taira. Um, however, I think that Tetsuro Taira might get this one done, which is hard for me to say because I'm not bandwagoning on this Joshua Van hate. I think that he's really solid. I think that people are just mad that he won the belt the way that he won it, but it's like everyone forgot that he had like the fight of the year against Brandon Royval. And also, dude, if I won a UFC belt and was guaranteed like millions, at the very least hundreds of thousands of dollars in my next fight, I would also be celebrating super hard. Like, you took no damage and now you're guaranteed a big payday. I think everyone's hating on Joshua Van for no reason, really. He's an entertaining guy, great fighter. Trains out of 4 Ounce MMA, which is a really cool team. But I think that Tatsuro Taira is going to snatch up like a round two or three submission. Um, because I just think that if he takes the back, it's a wrap for Joshua Van, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, man, let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments. And without further ado, I'm going to move on to the main event, Yuri Prohaska versus Carlos Ulberg. Dog, I'm just gonna come out and say it. We get to see Yuri Prohaska be the unified light heavyweight title holder once again. Bro, if you guys were on the original Yuri Prohaska like hype train, whenever he was on his rise, whenever he knocked out Dominic Reyes with the spinning elbow, whenever he slept, um, who was it? Volkan Ozdemir in his debut. Like, bro, I remember being in high school, like showing people the Dominic Reyes like spinning elbow knockout and being like, dude, this guy is the truth. Like he's a freaking marauder, dude. Um, yeah, I'm going with Yuri Prohaska in this one. I think that Carlos Ulberg will pose a threat to Yuri, especially with his leg kicks. He comes from CKB, so obviously they're gonna have good kickboxing. His inside leg kick was effective against Jan Blachowicz, and Yuri Prohaska doesn't really check kicks that much. However, I just think that Yuri Prohaska's aggressiveness and not will like the unwillingness to play that game of like pitter patting at range, not even necessarily pitter patting at range, but like that sort of like kickboxing drilling rhythm where it's like I land a combo, you land a combo. You throw a three piece, you throw like a 3-4-3 low kick, and then they come back at you with like a 1-2-1-2, like four shot combo back and forth, back and forth. Yuri Prohaska does not play that game. He's throwing bombs at you, getting in your face the whole time. He makes it super ugly, which for guys who are really technical, like Carlos Ulberg, like always poses a problem. I think that the UFC built him up the best that they could. Um, However, I think that Yuri Prohaska is going to win, especially with like all the emotional stuff going on in his life right now. I believe he's about to have a kid. He's clearly hungry to become a champion again. Like, I think that there's too many things in Yuri Prohaska's life that are pushing him towards uh that like unwillingness to break and desire to become a champion. Whereas Carlos Ulberg, like, I don't I don't know what's going on with him, really. I feel like his rise to the top has kind of been a little bit like helped by the UFC. His win over Jan Blachowicz was legit, and also Dominic Reyes was legit. But to be honest with you, Jan Blachowicz and Dominic Reyes have both declined. I don't think that Yuri has fought anyone outside of like the top three, top five at the very least. Um, as of late, I guess he fought Rakic and Khalil Roundtree, but still, what I'm trying to say is Yuri Prohaska's like difficulty, his matchups, uh, has been far like he's faced far more adversity than Carlos Ulberg has, and I think the moment might get to him, is what I'm trying to say, is what I'm trying to get to. Yeah, I think that Yuri's gonna win. I think that he's gonna get in Carlos's face. I think that he's gonna make it ugly. He's going to be really unorthodox, and um, I'm predicting Yuri Prohaska later knockout. I'm gonna go with like round four, probably. And I wouldn't be surprised if Carlos was able to win the first two rounds. So yeah, round four, Yuri Prohaska knockout. Guys, let me know what your opinions are in the comments below. I'm going to stay consistent and try to give more of my predictions, reactions in the future. I have a cool video idea I'm cooking up. I'm going to talk about how Winged Sea is really like the modern version of Crazy Horse. So stick around. I'm going to drop that video within the next coming week, and I'll also continue giving my predictions for future cards. So yeah, peace.